look, well, I'm on page 58. 58, page 58. I do not have the Spanish text in front of me, but it is lesson 6, so that's helpful. And page 58 is the retrieval. So help somebody find lesson 6, retrieval. Okay, these are square roots. I'm not sure why this is an important thing to throw in the middle of our test as I sit here about to go over this with you. I don't know that any of these will be on your test, but it's in your book, and we just go through the book. I will say that, math people in the room or people who want to do, you should have some things memorized, and I'm going to write the list here, and you should also write the list. These are squareds, right? 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared. We'll go all the way up to 15. Okay, and we'll start with 1 squared. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16, 5 times 5 is 25, 6 times 6 is 36, 7 times 7 is 49, 8 times 8 is 64, 9 times 9 is 81, 10 times 10 is 100, 11 times 11 is 121, 12 times 12 is 144, 13 times 13 is 169, 14 times 14 is 196, and 15 times 15 is 225. Now, why share this with you? Because square roots are the opposite of squares. They're opposites. In fact, the square root of x squared is just x, because the square root and squares are inverses of one another. So they cancel. This is why on your calculator, the square button on the left side is the same button as your square root button. But in order to access the square root button, you have to hit the top left blue second button and then hit the square button, which is the square root. And so everybody needs to know how to access the square root button. So you got to hit second first, and then you have to hit square. So it's all on the left side. Second's at the top on your calculator. If you don't have a calculator, you should already have one. You should already be doing this, or you can pause it and then grab a calculator and then go back. But press second at the top, and then about 3 or 4 buttons down, you'll see a square button, like X squared is what it says. That's the button. But behind it, a little blue square root button. So you'll hit second and square root, and then you'll type in your 64 or 225. It'll tell you. You can just type them all in. It tells you what it is. But if you have this chart here, you can do them all from the chart. You don't even need a calculator. So like the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 3 or 9 is 3. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 49, 7. So now look, this first problem says square root of 64, but you have a list right here. Square root of 64 is 8. So we will just write 8. Now I want to add something else to this just because you're in 8th grade. The square root of any value is going to be a positive and negative version of that value, because 8 times 8 is 64, but so is negative 8 times negative 8. It's positive 64. A negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm going to write a plus and a minus sign right in front of my 8. Okay, so it's both positive and negative 8. Square root of 225, well, we have a cheat sheet right here, 225. The answer is 15, but I'm not just going to write 15. I'm going to write positive and negative 15. And again, you can use a calculator. The calculator will never give you the negative version. If you type in square root of 225, it just says 15. So I need you to know that it's also negative 15. And the reason why it's negative 15 is because negative 15 times negative 15 is also positive 225. Okay. All right. And then over here on the right side, which we're not there yet, but all these come from the cheat sheet. So you can have access to that. You can even pause it right here. So look at the cheat sheet while you do that other side really quick, if you'd like. Okay. Moving on from that, we have x squared equals 36 and 4 to the x power equals 1024. And I will say that mathematically, to undo a square, you have to do the inverse of a square, which is a square root sign. Now x is by itself, which is what I did earlier here. See, these are opposites. So same thing, these are opposites, but whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. And the square root of 36, we just look at our cheat sheet. It says what it is right there. And then we have to remember that it's not just 6, it's also negative 6. Okay. Great. Over here, this is saying 4 to the power of something is 1024. So you can check this in your calculator. 4 to the power of 1 is 4. 4 to the power of 2 is 16. 4 to the power of 3 is 64. 4 to the power of 4 is like 256. And then 4 to the power of 5 is 1024. And then because you see it says 4 to the power of x is this, and then look right here, which one's x? It's 5. So you would write x is 5. Okay. And there's other ways to do that, but for right now, that's what we're doing. We don't have a lot of those, so for now, that's what we're doing. All right, come down here. It tells us this is the inequality, and it wants us to shade. Okay, so hopefully you have a crayon. Pause to get a crayon. If you don't have a crayon, pause it. TikTok. Okay. I told you that we plug in a certain number to see if we shade. What was that number I told you we plug in? 0, 0. And so you're going to plug 0 in right here and right here. Well, anything times 0 is 0. So you basically have 0 is less than 36. Is that true or false? Is 0 less than 36? It's true. It's true. 0 is less than 36. So we are going to shade the side with the origin. And this is just one line shading right now. We're not doing any more than that. And if I asked you why this was dotted, would you tell me why? Why is that dotted? Answer has to do with this right here. This is a less than sign. What if it was a less than or equal to sign? Then it would be solid. All right, next page. Hopefully you already did this next page because you paused it and used the cheat sheet. If not, pause it now and look at that cheat sheet. But I'm not going to tell you any of these because it's all on the cheat sheet, or you can use your calculator. Just remember that each answer needs a positive plus or minus. Like this one is the one we already did before. Okay. All right. Do those and then pop down here, pause it until you do those ones. 3 to the power of something is 81, so we can check it out. 3 to the power of 1 is 3. 3 to the power of 2 is 9. 3 to the power of 3, and you guys can test these all out, right? You can do 3 to the power of 3 in your calculator, right? It tells you 27. 3 to the power of 4 is 81, therefore x is 4. Does that make sense? So test them out. When you find it, that's the answer. How about this one? 4 to the power of what is 64? I'll let you try this one on your own. I'm not going to write the answers down, but I will write this down. and you fill in the blanks and then match the one accordingly. Okay. Same with this one. I'm not going to do it for you, but 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 3, 2 to the power of 4, and 2 to the power of 5. That's a 5. And then you can figure out 2 to the power of 6. Just figure out all those and match it. Okay. This one's a little bit more challenging. You have to figure out what number times itself 3 times. So think of it like this. X times X times X equals 125. It's all the same answer. And you have to figure out what times what times what. Same number is this. Now, for starters, it ends in a 5. So that's a huge giveaway. It's a huge giveaway because not a lot of numbers you can use have 5 in it unless it's a 5. Okay. Like you can't do like 8 times, 8 times 5. Like it's still not 5 at the end, right? 8 times, right? So it's going to be 5. And we can do this and see if 5 works and we can check it. 5 times 5 times 5. Okay. Also, I'll give you a little shortcut. You might be able to do like 125 in your calculator and then do the caret and then do parentheses 1 divided by 3. And it's basically saying what's 125 to the 1/3 power. And it should come out 5. So that's another way we can get there going backwards. This one right here and this one right here. 144 can be from the cheat sheet. It's over here. There's 144. Just make sure it says positive and negative. Same thing with these are just the value. You don't have to do positive or negative. So like for 7, 8, and 9, it's just the whatever value. It's just positive. There's no negative. Even for 5 here, it's not negative. It's positive. Okay. But these squared ones are going to have positive and negative answers. So square root 144 and square root 256 and write down a positive, negative version of both. All right. Pause it there if you need it. All right. I'm on page 60 at the bottom here. All right, this is on your test. You will have an opportunity to tell me what the line is. And since you've never done this before, I'll help you with it right now. But on the test next week, you will have to tell me what these lines are. So for starters, this is dotted. This is dotted and this is solid, okay? So we have dotted versus solid, and now that tells us what the inequality is going to be. One has a line on it, and one does not have a line on it. And we know how to graph a line, so we can start where the line crosses at the y. It crosses right there. So look, see how it crosses here? What number is that? That's 7, right? And that 7 looks like it goes down and over, which is going to be a negative slope. So don't forget that y equals mx plus b is always our form. And the b is the 7 we just figured out. Okay, so this is the b. The slope is the m, and the m is negative, and it's going to go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1, right? So it's negative 1. So my slope is minus 1x. So I'm done. I have it, okay? I have everything. What I don't have is the inequality. Is this a less than or equal to? Is this a greater than or equal to? Which one is it? That's what's next, okay? Because you remember why we shaded where we shaded, right? So we have to see, is 0, 0, make a true statement. So step 1, let's make our answer. y, let's put that in. Let's leave a space for the inequality. Let's write negative 1x, or just negative x, plus 7. Okay, now let's put in one of these and test it. Okay, so let's put in the less than or equal to. And now let's plug in our zeros, right? And see if this is a true statement. Is 0 less than 7? Yes, it is. It's true, which means I did choose correctly. If I chose wrong, this would be false, and I'd have to go choose the other one. Okay, so it's not a big deal. All right, let's do this next one. All right, where does it cross the y-axis? Find that first. Looks like it crosses here. And what number is that? -4. Remember, that's the b in y equals mx plus b. And how much up and over does it go? Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. See the pattern? Up 2 over 1. So basically, m is 2. And we have the x there. The b is -4. And we have our y. And the only thing we don't have is this a less than or a greater than? We know it's a dotted line, so it's either less than or greater than. And let's pick one and then plug it in. Okay? Let's choose less than. And then let's see if we're correct. Let's plug in our zeros. Is 0 less than -4? Is 0 less than -4? It's actually not less than -4. So this is out, which means it's not a less than. It's a greater than. And that's the answer. Y is greater than 2x minus 4. Pause it there if you need it. I'll let you see all of it so you can get a good look at it. All right. I'm going to move on to the go, which is here. We're going to shade. So grab those crayons and let's shade. Let's do I got mine. 0, 0, plug it in. I mean, I think everyone in here should know how to, you should know how to shade. I mean, if you plug in 0 and 0, all this gets canceled. So all that's left is 0 is, and you put the sign in, and then -4. Again, is 0 less than -4? And it's not. 0 is not less than -4. So we're not going to shade where the origin is. Next one, test it out. If you need to pause it, right? Is 0 greater than 5? Is 0 greater than 5? It's not. So we can't shade where the origin is. We can shade the other side. I'm just flexing on you now with all these different colors. All right. Let's throw in 0. 0 here and 0 here makes this say 0 is less than or equal to 10. Is 0 less than or equal to 10? It is. So we're going to shade the origin side. Next one. Put a 0 here, a 0 here. So it should say 0 is greater than 24. Is that true or false? It's false. 0 is not bigger than 24, so we cannot shade the origin. We will shade the other way. Take a look at the page. See the shading? Alrighty. And that's going to conclude our lesson. I don't want you to do 7 just yet. We'll save that for another video.